Hi, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my sexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality and also entertainment and lifestyle vlogs. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. So today I'm going to be discussing the movie Rebellious. Mission Will Rescue. So if you don't like spoilers and you haven't seen this movie yet, please do not watch this video because I'm going to review the movie for you now. I'm going to tell you what happens with the plot and the storyline, and you're going to get loads of spoilers. But if you love spoilers, you like to know what's happening before you watch the movie, or you've already seen it, or you're just curious to know more, please do keep watching and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. So, Rebellious. Rebellious is kind of a mixture of lots of different fairy tales rolled into one. And I have to say, if you're a fictoromantic person, you might find some of the characters very romantically handsome or attractive. And I guess if you're a fictosexual person, you might also find that. So I found one of the characters very good looking for an animation. And that was the main male character. But this movie is about a princess called Mina. Now, Mina, at the beginning of the movie, you see, is has a boyfriend called Ronan, and he is like a nerd. He's very intellectual, but he uses his brain, not brawn, to come to resolutions and solutions about things. So he's thin and he's not that muscly. He's quite more, he's not that well built. He's thin, more athletic. He has this lovely blonde hair and beautiful face. So if you can't tell that he is a character I think is really handsome, a very handsome animated character. And Mina is a princess and Ronan is her boyfriend, and you see him propose marriage to her on the boat, right? And you understand from their interactions that she is very headstrong. She knows her own mind, knows what she wants, and she's not afraid to do some things that a lot of other princess movies would not show a princess doing. So she doesn't need a guy to fix her problems for her, doesn't need a guy to stick up for her. She can stick up for herself. So she says yes to marrying Ronan. However, her dad, who's trying to get her to marry someone, says the day has come when Mina will marry someone, and he wants her to marry someone based on a suitor that is muscly and can be like a hero to her and save her from harm, because they're physically very, very strong. But these other guys are not suitable for her because they're very, very egotistical. They're very like male chauvinists, and they really just care about themselves and the image and marrying a pretty princess. They don't really want to do any of the work it takes to have a healthy relationship. So Ronan has already proposed. She said yes. And after this, her father is trying to get her to marry another person, another guy, because he thinks that Ronan isn't really a typical brawny guy, and so that's not who he would choose for her. So at one point he's thinking about him, Ronan, for being her husband. But then what happens is this dragon comes down and swoops and takes Mina away. And this dragon works for an evil sorcerer. And this evil sorcerer kidnaps princesses and takes them to his home. And it's a bit like Beauty and the Beast, this bit, where he keeps the princess in the home. And if they do anything wrong, which is a slight variation on Beauty and the Beast, there's lots of different fairy tales this makes up. You see lots of different animated fairy tale movies that make up this one movie. They've got loads of different elements. So basically, it's a bit like Beauty and the Beast, where she has to be put with someone like this old guy who's an evil sorcerer who has this really long beard and mustache, and he's pretty bad looking, really. And so I think maybe he's got a tiny little bit of good looking about him for an evil sorcerer that's an old man. But in general, he's meant to be quite vulgar and gross and not very interesting, and like, why would she want to even be near him? So anyway, he captures princesses, but you find out shortly after Mina is captured by him that he turns them into statues if they don't obey him and do what he wants them to do. So the dragon swooped down and took Mina away before she could marry anyone else, because the evil sorcerer basically, I think, wants her to marry him. So he whisks, and oh, I know what it is. I remembered now. It's actually the fact that the sorcerer kidnaps princesses when they found true love, because he doesn't want them to be with anyone else but him. Very, very possessive person, guy, sorcerer, whatever you want to call him. He's not a good person. He's not a good sorcerer. He's evil sorcerer, right? And so anyway, so Ronan was with her at the time, and he couldn't stop her from going. The dragon came down and he was trying to hold on to her. And Minky, hello, nice to see you. Lots of friendship love to you. So Ronan was trying to hold on. I think it was hold on to the dragon's tail so that Mina could come back. You know, he wouldn't lose Mina, but he couldn't hold on to her because he wasn't strong enough onto the dragon's tail with her, because he wasn't strong enough. And so he had to he nearly fell out of the castle, I think, if I remember. Oh yeah, I think he did fall. He fell and then landed on a table. That's right, and the table broke. And then the king was like, oh, you're not in a fit state to marry my daughter. You know, you can't protect her, basically. But he instead said he'll reward whoever can save his daughter and get her back with her hand in marriage. Even though she already said yes to Ronan and being married to him, the father thinks that he's not suitable for her because the dragon was able to get hold of her and kidnap her for the evil sorcerer. So he's then said, oh, you know, like, whoever brings her back can have her hand in marriage, right? Even though Ronan's already engaged to her. So that was a bit crazy. But anyway, you know, in these movies, it did actually say at the beginning of the movie warners, and one of them was discrimination. So they are raising awareness of discrimination of women in this movie, which I thought was a fantastic thing to do. I actually really liked the movie because it was showing the Princess Mina as a very strong, powerful character in and of her own right that doesn't actually need a guy, but she prefers to be with an intellectual nerd type of guy who's calm, kind, and caring than some other guys who are butchy and brawny and basically would smash someone's face in and not care about it, and who doesn't really care about her. They just want her for a nice good looking trophy on his arm, basically. I'm not into women myself, but I know lots of guys would find her good looking, you know? So it's just like horrible, but it does warn it. You know, when you say warnings of the certificate saying, you know, some scenes might be unsuitable for certain viewers, and it warns against the fact that there is discrimination in the movie. But I've really loved this movie. I mean, I loved it so much. I liked Ronan, the character. I thought he was very good looking as well, which did help. I don't usually find animated characters that good looking, but I think that's why Fictoromantic people would really like the look of some of the characters. So anyway, I thought he was really good looking. He's blonde haired as well. I usually like brown haired guys, but I do still like blonde hair guys sometimes. Spiky blonde hair usually, but he had long blonde hair like this. But I thought he had a really nice face. I like the character a lot. So anyway, once the dragon has captured Mina, she then finds out in the garden that there's all these princesses that have been frozen, like frozen in gold color. And the dragon turns into an old woman. And you find out there's a part to the story a lot later on where the old woman got her heart broken years ago by a wizard, and then she went to work for the evil sorcerer and turns into a dragon and back again into an old woman. So it's very, very interesting movie. I really, really loved this movie. There was parts where it was reflective of Aladdin as well. So when Mina was captured and went to the evil sorcerer's home, he has like people working for him, and he has like there's a bedroom that's all done up in like Egyptian it looks Egyptian Indian style bed, and it's all like Aladdin actually, he was Egyptian, but he looks Indian, right? But he was Egyptian. So it's done in all that type of colors, very much the same sort of colors as Aladdin's village, if you've seen the movie Aladdin. And Mina herself looks like, you know, the character in Aladdin, the female character in Aladdin, quite a bit. So it was a really good movie. I liked the scenery and everything, and I liked the colors of the costumes as well that princesses had. So what happens is Ronan thinks that because he's not big and brawny that he cannot rescue the princess. So there's three other people, I think there's three other guys that go after the princess, although I don't know what happened to one of them, because you don't really see one of them throughout the rest of the movie. You just see him go after her. You only see the other two guys. And one of them has demonstrated that he doesn't really care. He's big and brawny, and he actually doesn't like Ronan. He tries to throw an axe at him because he wants Mina for himself. And so someone says to Ronan, are you just going to stand by and not even try to rescue Mina? And he's like, oh, I don't think I can. But the person's like, you can. Like, she's a love of your life. Like, well, wouldn't you do that? And he's like, oh, yeah, of course I would. She's worth dying for anyway. So he embarks on a journey, but instead of using brawn and muscles and be big and bulky and hairy, basically, he's not like that. He uses his wit. So I really love this fresh take on a fairy tale, that instead of having the main suitor for the main princess of the movie as being big and brawny and bulky and a traditional like looking big hero in that way, he was actually thin, athletic, very tailored in at the waist. He was not masculine in terms of being big and bulky. He's more like an athletic person, and he had soft hair. He wasn't butch or anything else. He had a soft nature to him, and he actually allows Mina to be herself because she's quite in a masculine energy in this film. You know, she's very strong, determined. She'll marry who she wants. She'll do what she wants. She doesn't need a guy to tell her what to do or how to live her life. And she likes an intelligent guy, which is what Ronan is. And I love throughout the movie, Ronan had to try to rescue Mina whilst being true to himself as much as possible and not turning to be like these other butch guys that basically go around killing people and don't care who they hurt. So you see him go into like this forest, and he's using his wits about him. He's using his brain, his intelligence and intellect, and he's trying to use logic. And I thought this is such a fresh take on fairy tale animated movies, because I don't usually see that there. I usually see, them rescuing the princess somehow in usually very traditional, conventional ways. But he didn't do this. He had to use his intellect all the time and logic to get himself out of tricky situations, which made for the movie much more interesting, because it added a flavor that I don't see in traditional Hollywood movies. And they were actually, well, I say Hollywood, animated movies. I just put Hollywood in my head. But, even when you see Hollywood movies that have princesses in them, right, and Disney movies that have princesses in them, they usually always like have to rely on the prince or whatever to save her. And this guy, the king, who's the princess's father, doesn't even see Ronan as that type of material, if you know what I mean, as being like in charge of a kingdom. He doesn't see him that way, and he doesn't see how he's really good for his daughter, because traditionally it's brought up that like the strongest person wins the daughter's hand in marriage, and it's up to him, not Mina, who she chooses. But Mina throughout the whole movie is very consistent. Like, I get to choose who I'm marrying, not my dad, and no one else should. So Ronan embarks on this journey, and when he's using logic, there's a part in the movie where he actually it's really funny. He saves the lives of bears, right? There's this bear with two baby bears and another bear, like a family of bears. and he does something to save the bears, right? But he's in a dangerous situation, but he kind of the way he does go about it is like he gets himself out of the situation in a more like talking logical sense. And then he saves the bear's life, and the one of the bears, who's the parent of the baby bears, starts talking. And Rona's like, "You can talk." And he's like, "Of course I can talk. I'm the last of the talking bears," right? So, yes, it's a bit far fetched, but it reminds me of Goldilocks and Three Bears, even though it's a family of bears. And anyway, he says, "I'll always be in your debt." So what happens is this bear then ends up being transportation for Ronan, and the baby bears with the other bear, which I presume is a mother bear, ends up going off because this bear's like, go and look after the kids. And this bear goes off with Ronan on top, riding the bear like a horse. So I again thought this was really clever. I really loved this part of the movie because I just thought it was so inventive. Instead of riding a horse, he's riding a bear. And they did it really good. They did the movements of his body going up and down the bear really well in the animation. So I thought it was very impressive. And I expected the bear to go off at a certain point, but it didn't. The bear stayed pretty much the majority of the way through the movie with Ronan on its back, determined to find the princess. So yeah, I just was like, wow, this is really cool, riding the bear. So there's been two other people, I told you, two other guys. There's like three other guys after the princess, but two of them are the ones they show you on the movie further on, like actually searching for her and catching up with Ronan. And one is like this axe wielding big butch guy who doesn't mind killing Ronan and tries to. And the other one is a guy who's very large. So he's got a lot of weight on him and he's constantly eating and he loves his food. But they've portrayed him as a very happy, jolly guy who loves eating food and sees nothing wrong with it and sees that he needs that for energy to sustain himself, to be able to go through the forests and the deserts and whatever comes their way, to be able to get to the princess. So I like the way that they positively portrayed a larger character. And yet you could argue that, oh, they've made him a bit jokey. So you know what I mean? Like if you think of Sherwood Forest and Friar Tucker, he's a bit of a jolly large guy, isn't he? And he's kind of like a joker. So they made him a bit jolly like that. But I wouldn't say he's specifically so much of a joker. I would just say he seems like really comfortable with the fact he's a bigger guy, that he needs to put food in his belly to keep his belly looking great and nice big shape. And I thought it's very body positive, actually, that character. I thought it's very good. Not once did anyone say about his weight in a negative way. His mum was packing him as much food as possible. I think there was one time though that he was made fun of when. Yeah, there's one time he was made fun of. So at the beginning, when they were going to look for the princess, I told you before Ronan went, there was two others. One was a big axe wielding guy, and there's another one who played a minor character really, but it was quite strong in the beginning. He was one of the suitors the king had in mind for Mina, the princess. They were laughing at one point the fact he was bringing food with him because they said, "Have you got any food?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I have," and pulled out a drumstick, a meat drumstick leg, and they were laughing about that. So there was a bit of that, but in general, in the movie, I think they portrayed him as a positive character that was proud that he had a big belly and that he was feeding himself, and it was really important to him to have a lot of food to keep himself happy and jolly and feeling good. And I liked that. I liked the fact they didn't make him change himself or have to diet or have to stop eating or can't eat much or worried about his weight. Because in some movies I've seen, they do that. They try and make the character like shameful about their weight, and they've got to do something about it, whereas he was very body positive, I felt, and he would really like loved eating. You could tell that it wasn't just a thing that he had to do. It was kind of something he really loved to do. It's like he's really into it. I love my food, to be perfectly honest with you. Although I got loads of food allergies and intolerances, I love my food. I'm like, I don't eat for the sake of it. I get hungry a lot of the time. I get low blood sugar quite often because I'm allergic to sugar, so I can't have sugar. can only have natural sugar, which means like, yeah, I get kind of like needing quite a lot of carbs sometimes. And I just like do actually like eating, but I eat when I'm hungry. I just happen to be hungry a lot more than some other people. And I'm actually more confident since I've been like known as a bigger person really, that in my adult life. So I wouldn't say I was that way at school, but in my adult life. Anyway, moving back to the movie. So the sorcerer has captured Princess Mina, and there's three people going after the princess. No, four people going after princess, but uh one, I don't know what happened to him because he just went off. The axe wielding guy and the jolly guy who's eating a lot. And Ronan does go after Princess, like I said, and he's on the bear at this point in the movie, right? And the guy who's like wielding the axe, he keeps coming after Ronan, catching up with him. And Ronan keeps trying to lose him, as in, like, go ahead of him and go different, like go ahead in the way he's going so that he doesn't get killed by an axe, basically, and gets to Mina. Meanwhile, Mina is at the evil sorcerer's home. She has her sleep in like a four-poster bed that's done very, very authentically like Aladdin's cave for it, or the time of Aladdin. And she's seen that the princesses get kidnapped, and then they basically get frozen like a statue. And she talks to the old woman that turns from a dragon to an old woman, and it keeps fluctuating that. So a lot of the time this old woman's a dragon when she kidnaps the princesses, but then she turns back to an old woman again and talks to Mina, but she's not a very nice old woman at all. Think of the wicked witch in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and stuff like that. She doesn't like Mina, and she's not nice to her at all. So, and she's warning Mina that if you don't do as you're told, the evil sorcerer, she don't call him an evil sorcerer, it's who she works for, as the dragon and herself, she says that he will put you, like freeze you like them. It will put you in the position of the other princesses, make you, frozen basically like a statue, so you can't do anything. Like, that's the end of you. So she doesn't care. So at this point, I thought, oh, she must listen to this wicked witch type of person that turns into a dragon. And no, she gave the king, not king, sorry, she gave the king's her father, she gave the evil sorcerer a mouthful, saying that she's not gonna listen to him and do as she's told by him, and that he's picked on the wrong girl, that she's not that type of person. And so she really sticks up to him. And so he was saying to like the people around him as servants, the evil sorcerer was saying, are all princesses like this these days? Like the modern princesses, they all seem to be like really feisty and talk back to you, and they're not well behaved, they're not doing as they're told. And they were like saying it's a sign of the times these days. So I know that they were obviously touching both on discrimination there and touching on the fact that modern women don't want to be told what to do anymore, don't want to be put in their place anymore, don't want to have a guy being authoritarian and rule her. I'm very much a person who's very independent. I don't like a guy telling me what to do. I like working as a team with my guys who are friends. That's completely different. But I don't like to be told what to do by a guy. I've had romantic interests or romantic guys connected to me, and they've just started telling me what to do with my YouTube channel, which is very rude. I really hate that. I'm like, how long have I been doing this channel for? Do I need you to come into my life and tell me what to do? No. Are you doing this channel? No. And so sometimes they come along and they go, blah, 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 you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And I'm thinking, have you got loads of views like I have, all subscribers? And usually the answer is no. So that really annoys me, but they do it, and it's very domineering, and they'll try and tell me what to do in other ways, and I just don't like that at all. So I am not in favor of that type of guy at all. I'm very quite headstrong, as you probably know, and I don't know my own mind, and I do not like to be told what to do. I can listen to people's views on stuff, but that's providing they've actually got to know my channel. I get so many guys, I'm going off on a tangent here, I know, but I get so many guys in my inbox as well that claim to be an SEO expert and a YouTube expert coming in Facebook. I'm sure a lot of other people get them as well, saying, "Oh, do you realize this hasn't got very good SEO and I could help you improve your channel? And I've watched all your videos." I'm like thinking, what a liar. To watch all my videos, they would take them probably a year or more. Do you know what I mean? If you looked at how many videos I've got, thousands of videos on here. It's just lies because they want to get, they want me to buy their services. And if I worried about SEO for every single video I did, I would literally never put the amount of content out I do. I haven't got time to SEO every single thing. It's not like I don't know some of this stuff. It's just I don't have time. I'm all about putting content out for you so that you can be educated and entertained and understand the lifestyle of an asexual person on a daily basis as much as possible, So I hate it when these people come along, and especially if they've not even got a YouTube channel or they're not doing very well themselves. One of these people couldn't even spell the word YouTube on his Facebook profile. I'm like, why would I buy services when you can't even spell YouTube? It says you Voob or something. Then another guy, he had a website that didn't even work. The link didn't work to his website. And I think there was a problem with actually on his website. And I've had that a number of times actually. And this other guy, one of the more recent guys, I looked at his channel. I can see I've got an analytical tool that sees other people's channels than mine. And I could tell that his channel had no way the same amount of views as mine had. He got more subscribers than me at that time because I think he was putting out, particularly going to loads of people's channels, claiming he knew how to grow a channel. So he got more subscribers by saying that, I'm guessing, commenting on other people's channels. But then that was it. It's pretty much over. And he wasn't consistently getting lots of views. So, so if I get a guy come into my life who starts telling me what to do, it really annoys me. And I like the fact that Mina in the movie was a person that knew her own mind, didn't like to be told what to do, could stand in her own right, in her own personal power, and could be the director of her own life, because I'm like that myself. I like to be the director of my own life. Obviously, you have to be considerate of other people. I'm not saying that, but I don't like to be told what to do. By a guy, you know what I mean? Like, do this, do that. It's just rude. And it's very domineering as well. So I don't like that at all. So I like the fact that Mina wasn't after these other big bulky guys. She was after, and she was engaged to Ronan, who was a kind, caring guy who didn't believe in violence. But as the movie progresses, there's a point where I told you there's this great big guy who is wielding an axe going after Mina, right? Who's a suitor for Mina. The king thinks he's good for Mina because he thinks he's big and bulky and can take care of her and protect her and be a hero to her. So anyway, he comes after Ronan and the bear as well. And Ronan wants to save the bear's life because at one point Ronan thinks the bear's hurt, and that this axe-wielding person is going to kill the bear, which is helping him to get to Mina. So Ronan ends up, Ronan says to the bear, because the bear's like, fight him. And Ronan's like, I've never hit a person in my life before. And so Ronan gets the edge of this cliff with the bear, with the axe-wielding guy. And the axe-wielding guy looks like he's going to hurt the bear. So Ronan steps in to defend the bear, but they end up being on the edge of a cliff. And if Ronan doesn't do something, both the bear is going to die and he's going to die. So the bear is encouraging him to hit the axe-wielding guy. And that's when Ronan says, I have never hit someone in my life. But in that part of the movie, he starts hitting the guy because he punches him in the face because he's like, I can't do anything more because I'm going to go over the cliff and he's going to kill me. So I either punch him or I get punched myself and die. And the bear gets hurt. He's more considerate of the bear, I think, than himself, to be honest, because he didn't want the bear to be axed, because the bear has a partner, a pair, I think, and 2 babies. So anyway, they have this fight, and the axe wielding guy ends up going over the cliff. Ronan goes to save him, as the good guy Ronan is. He reaches his hand up, and then the guy tries to pull him over the cliff. The axe wielding guy tries to pull him over the cliff, so that was quite intense. And Ronan decides to basically push him off and let him go. And yeah, so the guy falls, but you think, is it to his death or not? Because you don't see the dead body. So wait till later in the movie, because he's not actually dead. Surprise, surprise. And he's does the horrible thing that I thought he was going to do, actually. I thought, if he's not dead, I know what he's going to do. Do you know what he's going to do? I do it. And I'm like, damn, I was actually right about that bit. I was hoping I was wrong, but I was right. And because I thought to myself, do you know what I thought? I thought to myself, all right, so what if Ronan does save Mina's life and then he pretends he saved Mina's life? But I can't work out exactly if I remember thinking that before this guy fell off the cliff or afterwards. But I definitely thought it before, at least. So it might be that after he fell off the cliff, I just thought, I haven't seen a dead body, so I don't know for a fact he's dead. So he might still come back and do that, right? So anyway, Ronan progresses, and along the way, there's this jolly character whose mum's packed him lots of food, and who's like going to try and rescue Mina to be a suitor to her. But he doesn't really want to marry Mina. He's doing it because his mummy told him what to do. So you've got this other storyline going on with this character who loves his food, who's a mummy's boy. And he thinks he has to do everything his mummy tells him to do, which I thought was very good juxtaposition with the fact that Mina doesn't like to be told what to do by her father and likes to have her own mind and make her own decisions. Whereas this character, who's a guy, not a female, he is very much a mummy's boy. So they've changed the characters, like the narrative of the characters, how they would usually be in a fairy tale. They've changed from the woman having a authoritarian or masculine man to having like a geeky, skinny guy. And they've changed the like big jolly guy to being a mummy's boy. So he's big in body mass, but he's very small in terms of like underneath his mother, as in his mother, whatever his mother says goes. And he thinks it's better for his mother to make the decisions for him at this point in the movie, because then he doesn't have to think about it and he doesn't have to worry. If someone else makes the decisions for him, it's an easier life. But then Ronan points out, okay, where is your mum now when you've got no food left? Because the part in the movie he has no food left. And obviously Ronan is on a bear, and there's been other creatures come as well in the movie, like other beasts and stuff, I think, from what I remember. There's been other things in the wilderness anyway. And Ronan's like, where is your mother now? You know, where is she? She's not helping you now, is she? You're actually out here. So it doesn't matter what she says. You don't have to go by what your mum says. And this is like a light bulb moment for this guy, because he's always done what his mummy's told him to do, thinking he's safe and secure. And Ronan's saying, well, she's told you to come out here specifically to get the princess, which he wasn't even interested in the beginning. But his mum wants the kingdom, because whoever marries the princess gets the kingdom. So his mum wanted him to marry Mina to get the kingdom, because she's got really power mad and status hungry. And he doesn't really want to marry me. He's not interested. So he's doing it for his mummy. And so anyway, Ronan says, like, where's your mummy now? Because, you know, you're out in the middle of the wilderness. There's bears and stuff around, clearly. And, you know, and there was another problem with beasts and stuff, which I won't go into all that. But basically, he was scared and he was jumping around and he was going to go in the opposite direction or leave Ronan. And then anyway, he ends up becoming friends with Ronan on this trip and ends up realizing that he shouldn't be just doing what his mummy tells him to do, because his mummy's nowhere to be seen when the going gets tough. He's the one out in the wilderness and she's just told him to go out there, and he's got no food left and he's got no way of getting in touch with her, and he's there basically like having to live in danger of the beasts and stuff of their traveling time. So I think it's very good how they changed this character. They do change him. So by the end of the movie, spoiler alert, by the end of the movie, he is much changed, in the sense that he's not a mummy's boy like that anymore, right? But this is going very towards the end of the movie now, right? So we've missed a huge portion out, but I'm not going to go into every little detail of the movie. But anyway, Mina has stuck up to the sorcerer, because it goes back between Mina and Ronan. So the movie flashes back and forth between Ronan trying to pursue a course of action to get to Mina, and he has to work all these things out. So at one point, there's a very interesting thing. There's like this god, this face in the sea. This looks like a god. and it's a giant. It's known as a giant, actually, not a god. And it looks like a god, though. So I'm not sure if it's a cross between a god and a giant. Anyway, it's in the sea, and it's blocking the entrance to where Mina's been held in like this castle place by the sorcerer, the evil sorcerer, and the dragon. And so he has to try and get through past this massive giant head in the water. You do find out later, actually, he is a proper giant. All his body comes up. So basically at this point, his whole face is there, and he's blowing the boat back with them in, because they have to get a boat to get on the sea to get through to the other side where the sorcerer is holding Mina and the other princesses at the statues. So, you know, they have had a journey. They have actually, you know, had to do a lot of battling against the elements and beasts and whatever. And at this point, you see Ronan really being in his element, because he's trying to work out how to get through past the giant head to get to Mina, which no one can do usually. And so he uses this logic to realize that there's a dam that's blocking some water. And if they got this water out of the dam, then they would be able to put the water over his head, because they build the water up, and therefore they'd be able to go over his head or something like that. I might be not 100% minutely detailed enough on that, but that's the gist of it. I think the whole point is by releasing the water in the dam anyway, they're supposed to be able to get past the giant head. And what you discover is, in the end of this part of the movie, that all along this head has actually had a massive body. It's an actual massive giant, and the sorcerer had put a spell on this giant so the giant couldn't escape the water, and it could only be like used to block off the entrance to the sorcerer's like castle, so that no one could come. Do you see what I mean? It actually acted a bit like a door of the dam or something. You know what I mean? So it's very clever. So Ronan used the logic of like mathematics and stuff to get this dam to break a hole in this whole massive dam where the water flooded. And the giant actually thanked Ronan and said, I was under a spell, actually. So you've saved my life and I owe you one, basically. That's putting it in plain English terms. He doesn't use this language. Right. And so he's able to get Ronan and the jolly bigger guy through with the bear. And they're going through together. And so this is very interesting. But meanwhile, Mina is telling the sorcerer that she's not going to do as she's told, blah, blah, blah. And this is how the story goes. But Mina manages to find, very interesting, a hat, like a turban. So think Aladdin. And when she gets this turban, it makes her invisible. But this tower is very much like Rapunzel. There's no way out of the tower. Right? There's no way out of tower. But instead of Rapunzel, instead of like the princess having long hair, it's actually the sorcerer that has a long beard that can get out the tower, because he has such a long beard. And as far as I know, he can get in and out of the tower via this beard. But otherwise, no one can get in and out of the tower. Right? And so she is trapped there, but she has this turban that makes her invisible. And you see her in part of the movie, Mina, gather as many drapes from a luxurious bedroom there, you know, four-poster bed and all sorts. She grabs materials and she makes them into like a rope and dangles it out of the window, but it won't quite go that far down enough to escape. And at one point in the movie, she finds all the princesses that have been frozen. This is going way on the movie. So the movie, there's a lot of to and froing between the sorcerer, the evil sorcerer, and the dragon, and a lot of them trying to stop Mina escaping from the tower. She's going into different rooms, and she's kind of like having a bit of fun, as well as being seriously trying to get out of there. She's having some fun with the fact it's an invisible turban, and she keeps disappearing and reappearing, and they don't know where she's gone. She manages to trap 3 of the sorcerer's like servants in this cage, and they go to the sorcerer still in the cage, but they've moved their feet in the bars of the cage to go to the sorcerer to say that, you know, she's gone missing. So they think she's missing, and they're looking all over the castle for her. but they can't find her because she's got this turban on that makes her invisible, like the Invisible Man. So I found this film so fascinating because it was so many different elements of different fairy tales in there that you couldn't really be bored. It's very interesting to watch. Mina herself was quite fun, funny, very interesting character, very powerful, very strong female character. I really loved it. And I liked the fact that Ronan was a very kind of geeky person, very intellectual, very logical, and believed in not fighting people. He only fought that axe-wielding guy when he was to save someone else's life and his own, the bear's life and his own, because he realized he's got no choice. Either fights him or he'll die. Otherwise, he would not usually fight anyone, right? It's not in his nature to do that, but he will do it if he absolutely has to. I thought the film portrayed that really well. They didn't turn Ronan's character into a person who likes fighting others in the end. They didn't turn him into being something he's not. They still kept him as genuine and real as possible, whilst altering his character enough to show that when the going gets tough, if he really, really has to protect himself and the bear and other people, basically, he will do that. So this is when you start to see that, oh, yes, he's definitely suitable for Mina even more because he can protect her because he was able to do this. So that's what they're trying to show throughout the film, a slight change in him, but not enough to change his character to be horrible. Still keep him true to his character. I really loved this about the movie. I thought it was an amazing movie. I loved this movie from beginning to end. I have to say, I was thinking throughout the movie, this is such a good movie. This is such a good movie. It's such a good movie. And I know when I'm thinking that I just love the movie, you know, when you're really into the movie. And I love Mina's character as well, like I said. So what happens is Mina has to get this green ring off the old woman that turns into a dragon because you realize that it has powers. So there's quite a lot of the story goes into like this green ring, and she has to get the green ring. And Rona at one point tries to get a wizard to help him. And this is the wizard who ends up revealing, because he gets imprisoned with Mina in the same castle with the sorcerer, but he's like in a prison cell, she's not. And you find out throughout the storyline that he is a person that this old woman who turns into a dragon fell in love with. But what happened was he put a spell on her to make her love him, as you know, obsessively. And the point is I don't think he meant to do it so she'd be obsessed with him, but he loved her and he wanted to make her, this old woman, she wasn't old originally, I don't think, when he fell in love with her, but to make her, oh yeah, because they do flashbacks of that, so she was younger. So he was trying to get her to love him, which you should never do with a spell, and instead it went wrong. And I'm glad they showed this in the movie. It went really wrong. I gotta get water. So what happened is she got obsessed with him to the point of like unhealthiness. So she became very, very obsessed. So it wasn't really love anymore. That he wanted her to love him, but instead of being in love with him, she got absolutely obsessed with him. And when he pushed her away because she was obsessed unhealthily, that is when she decided to get revenge. So she didn't want anyone else to have any love. And so that's why she teamed up with the evil sorcerer, because they both don't want people to have love. It's like, if someone can't love me, I don't want anyone to love anyone genuine. So when people get to the point of true love, like Mina and Ronan, that's when they decide to kidnap the princesses. So whenever a princess falls truly in love, naturally and honestly with someone, they capture them. And we're very jealous, clearly. So I think it's a very good movie because it brings to light the fact of what can happen when you've got obsession rather than love. You know, that it gets very unhealthy and it's not a good thing. Obsession and love aren't the same thing, and it actually pushes people away if you get obsessed. But the trouble is, I think it's quite reflective of our society sometimes. Some people want people to be obsessed with them. They want, like the wizard wanted the woman to be obsessed with him, basically. Well, he wanted her to love him, but instead she became obsessed, and he wasn't happy for her to have that level of investment in him. And so then he turned her down, basically turned her away, pushed her away. So I think that's quite true of society. Like even in some relationship or people in general, they want someone, but then when they've got that person becomes quite into them, and then they push them away. But it actually usually makes people more obsessed with that, because it makes them want something, because something's going away from them. They want to grab onto it more and more and more. And so it kind of is a bit reflective of society, that I think is quite an adult theme in that way. And so anyway, as the movie progresses, I won't go into all the details. I am going to spoil the ending. So if you don't want the ending spoiled, please do not watch this video. So what happens is Mina has to get the green ring, because she works out that that's how she can free the princesses and bring them all back to life instead of being statues. So Mina goes ahead, manages to get the ring off the old woman that turns into a dragon, and she gets the ring off her as an old woman and goes out into this garden and brings to life all the princesses. So you see all of the princesses, not just her. And I think that was really, really nice. And she frees all the princesses, and she's made this what would be a rope, but she's made it out of materials. And once she's got all the princesses together, she wants to help them escape out the window. But I told you that all these materials she's put together, like a rope, they don't quite reach down enough for them to safely get out the window. And so Mina's like, oh, the only thing we can do is have your princess dresses. But the princesses, all the other princesses, refuse. I'm guessing it's because they're not the same as Mina, right? They like their princesses' dresses, and it means a lot to them as part of their identity. And so they care more about their dresses than they do escaping at that point. That's kind of the situation I felt. But one of them can talk to, I don't know if it's mice or rats, can talk to animals anyway. It's like that, rats or mice. And she says this like weird chanting thing, and then basically they show up with a rope. I can't work out whether it's rats or mice. I think it's rats. But anyway, they show up with this rope, and it's an actual long piece of rope, and they all manage to escape apart from Mina, who gets left behind because she's the last one out the window, and she has to kind of like let the others go and not draw attention to them, so they fully escape. And she like lets the rope go so that they don't know that the princess have escaped by that rope, and so they can't come after them very quickly. But somehow I can't remember. I think there's a scuffle between Mina and the sorcerer, and he ends up out the window anyway. But I think he can get back in with his beard, I think. But anyway, there is another way into the castle. It's always told throughout the movie till the very end that there's no way into and out this castle. But Ronan, with his logic, finds there is a way, and it's to do with water. There was water coming out the castle, and he's like, oh, well, if there's water coming out, that's the way in. So there is a way into the castle. So that's how he gets into the castle, and he ends up going towards Mina, trying to save her. But Mina's already trying to save herself, so she doesn't really need to be saved by Ronan. But anyway, he goes to save her, and unfortunately, the princess ends up falling like in an enchanted sleep. And she looks like she's dead, basically, but she's in like a coma or hibernation sleep. She's under a spell, basically, and the spell's not meant to be able to be broken. And at this point, I was thinking, Ronan, just kiss her. A kiss, true love's kiss, usually always breaks the spell, but it didn't happen. He didn't kiss her. And what then did happen is that axe wielding guy comes along and tries to kill Ronan in his sleep and to steal the princess away, because the axe wielding guy isn't actually dead, even though he fell off a cliff. He comes back, and the guy who's a big jolly guy, he's further down the way. I think he's doing something. I can't remember what he's doing, but he sees Ronan and the axe guy with the axe. He sees the guy with the axe try to kill Ronan from afar, from down below. And you think that Ronan has died, and you think the princess looks like she's died. So this axe-wielding guy tried to kill Ronan and then takes the princess back to the kingdom to try and claim her hand in marriage, even though she looks like she's dead or in a severe enchanted sleep, right? So she won't wake up, and the king pronounces that this guy can have the kingdom. have her hand in marriage, and she's not even awake, and she's not even speaking or anything, and he can have the kingdom, which I thought I need water again, which I thought was really insane. I'm like, why would you do that? But I know that it's like tradition of what kings do, and their tradition's usually more important than the princess's rights, if you know what I mean. So not only is she asleep and immobile, basically, and in chat asleep, he's actually said that this axe-wielding guy can have the kingdom because he thinks he saved Mina's life, and he promised whoever saves Mina's life, regardless of the fact she's already engaged to Ronan, that was pretty much ignored by the king, that this person can have her hand in marriage. Excuse me. And so yeah, so he's just about to like get the kingdom handed over to him, this axe wielding guy, when Ronan comes in with a horse on horseback, to everyone's shock, because they thought the axe wielding guy thought he was dead. And it's a bit sad, but what you realise is the wizard, remember I told you there was a wizard who was trapped at one point, where Ronan helped save the wizard. And you then see all the flashback of the fact of this old woman that turned into a dragon was once his love of his life, and he gave her a potion and made her into this person who's obsessed and wants revenge. And he actually got in the way of the axe and Ronan, and he got killed. So he dies, and Ronan gets saved, and the guy who's like the big jolly guy who's been with Ronan, he doesn't go after Mina in the end because he's like become friends with Ronan. And so all he does is he comes into the kingdom and says to the king to stop, because this axe wielding guy isn't a good guy. He actually tried to kill Ronan, and he doesn't deserve to be with the princess. And the king's like flabbergasted. He doesn't believe it at first. And then this axe wielding guy threatens the king and says, "Give me the kingdom." And basically admits that he didn't think Ronan was still alive, and admits what he did, in his anger of like Ronan still being there. And then the king realizes he's made a mistake. So they managed to get the axe wielding guy so that he doesn't hurt the king. And yeah, the guy who's big and jolly has a hand in that. And his mum's shocked because he tells his mum to shut up. And he said, "Ronan's my friend," and basically, and I know that the other guy tried to kill him, and Ronan deserves to marry Mina, basically. And because the big jolly guy's now not a mummy's boy, and he's like telling his mum to shut up, and I'll do what I like, and I'm speaking up for my friend, and he's very like strong and powerful now in his own right, because he's got self-esteem and confidence on his own without his mummy. He has a flock of girls coming to him, and his mother's going, "Oh, he's single," like for all the princesses. So his mum actually thinks that it's good in the end that he stuck up to her, because all the women are after him, and she loves her little boy having all the princesses after him, even if it's not Mina. So that's quite funny, that bit, but in a good way. And so yeah, in the end, Ronan gets the girl back, and the king realizes that Ronan is the right suitor for Mina, and that he can protect her with everything he's been through to get her. And the fact that the axe wielding guy is no more after Mina, he's out of the picture. So yeah, I think they might have left it open if they want to do another one, but I thought it was really, really good. I really liked the movie from beginning to end. I was quite riveted by it. I loved all the colorful princess costumes. I loved the portrayal of Mina being a strong, powerful woman who knows her own mind, who doesn't mind getting her hands dirty or her hands wet. He doesn't mind falling in the water. He doesn't mind making her own decisions, sticking up for herself, speaking back to authority figures and evil figures, and doesn't care about the consequences, really knows she can take care of herself, and is very, very strong. I really love that. And I like the fact they've got a different male character, one who's gentle, kind, caring, sensitive, logical, nerdy, and still looks really good looking, mind you. And you know, he's very, I found him like, I wouldn't say he's subservient to Mina. I would just say that he's more like a gentle protector of her, and that she does have a say in things. You know, she is a little bit more, I don't know if she's probably a little bit more dominant maybe than him, a little bit, but you know, because she knows her own mind and she won't be pushed around or told what to do. But he likes that about her, and I really like the fact that he likes a strong female character, and he's quite happy to be his logical, friendly, kind self. She's more of a more stronger person in the sense of aggression, in the sense that she can fight someone back if you like, but he's more of the mindset that fighting's the last resort, which I liked in the movie. I like the fact they still made him fight, but that was the very last resort for him. And I think that's true of people in real life, that some people don't agree with violence, but if they're really pushed to extreme limits to the point where it's life or death, they will stick up for themselves and make that decision, the harsh decision to do that. He finds out actually the bear was bluffing. You know, I said he was worried about the bear being hurt. The bear was actually bluffing. And because Ronan at that point goes, because Ronan let the guy go off the cliff, and the bear was like laughing or something, or saying something to Ronan, and Ronan's like, "You're meaning to tell me that you were just bluffing?" He's like, "Well, I knew you had it in you to like be like that, so you can protect Mina." I think he was trying to say that you can protect Mina, you can be like a protector in that way if you need to physically fight, even though it's not your nature. When push comes to shove, when your back's against the wall, you will do that. So he was like testing Ronan and pushing Ronan to do it, if you know what I mean, to see what he would already do, and he came up to speed, as it were, came up to doing that, you know. And so I really loved the movie, and in the end, you know, that even Mina says, you know, like she should be able to choose her own suitor, and that, you know, she does choose Ronan, but the king does say, "I made a mistake," and Ronan is suitable for, after all, so you have my blessing. But Mina did say when she woke up before Ronan like was sticking up for the king, you know, trying to get the axe wielding guy out of the way. That's how the king knew he could protect his daughter, by the fact he got Ronan out of the way. Ronan got the axe wielding guy out of the way in the end, so that the axe wielding guy was not holding, I think he was holding the axe to the king at one point at the end. So he got that situation resolved, so that yeah, he could see that he's physically strong enough to protect his daughter. And the daughter came back alive and said, no one, you know, back to life, I should say. I think she's in a deep sleep from a spell. She basically said, you know, no one even asked me like who I want to marry. But obviously she wanted to marry Ronan because she was engaged to him anyway. So, you know, the decision should never have been made while she was in a sleeping state anyway. I mean, that's so bad of the father to do that. But I think it is true of real life, actually, that some parents, they don't do necessarily what's right for the children. They do what's right by their traditions. Like you can see that even in a lot of cultures. For example, Indian culture or Pakistani culture, for example, they you know, they have traditions in their family. It doesn't really matter what the children want. With some parents, it's like whatever the parents want, whatever is in keeping with the caste of their religion or their upbringing, and fitting certain parameters, whatever you call them, fitting certain molds of societal expectations to do with the traditions of the culture of their families. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, if their sons or daughters want to deviate from that, they won't let them. They'll say they bring shame upon their family, and they'll disregard them, cut them out of their life and stuff like that, which is horrible. So some parents, and I think the king's reflective of that in this movie, are like that, regardless of the actual proper safety of the daughter, being with someone who's kind, caring like Ronan, compared to the axe wielding guy that just, yeah, as much as he could technically protect Mina, excuse me, he also wants to, well, he could easily harm her, you know what I mean? Whereas Ronan wouldn't do that. to Mina because he truly loves her and he's a gentle, kind, caring guy. That's a good heart as well. So anyway, I really like the movie. I would recommend definitely seeing it. There's no sex in this movie. There is romance between Ronan and Mina, but I think it's a good romance, and I think there's more than romance just between Ronan and Mina. I think it's a very strong foundation of dynamics that just work. They work very well together. Their strengths complement each other. She's like quite the strong, powerful one who knows her own mind, can defend herself, can, you know, fight off people if she has to. Whereas he's a more kind of logical, solution-minded person. So I think they complement each other really well. I think if you have two headstrong people in a relationship, it doesn't actually work very well at all. I think, you know, it's better to have complementary character traits. And I think they've definitely got that. So I loved the movie. Definitely go and see it or watch it when it comes out on any platform. I believe it's actually out on Blu-ray already now since the 9th of December. So I think it's just come out. So yeah, it's a really good movie. Rebellious, it's called. Mission Royal Rescue. So the princess did rescue all those other princesses. Oh, they come in at the end as well. The princesses come in at the end. Yeah, I think they come to the kingdom. So yes, because she saved all their lives. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell icon. Thank you, Minky, for being here in chat. I really appreciate you being here, and everyone else that's tuned in. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon next video live stream. Thanks for the live stream, says Minky. You're welcome. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.